So, my Thursday night, I got called into work unexpectedly, and we had something going on in the evening too that between work and the event, I just didn't have time to do anything. So, I missed a video, which gives me the option either here it's Friday night. I can either post the video that was post Friday morning very late, or I can combine Friday and Saturday's chapter, and we just skip a day and we do two chapters in a day. And I think I'm going to do that because the two chapters for Friday was 1 Samuel 30, and for Saturday is 1 Samuel 31, the last two chapters of the book. And 1 Samuel 30 is 31 verses, and 1 Samuel 31 is only 13. So the two combined are 44 verses. We've read several chapters that are bigger than that by themselves. So I think that's what we're going to do. 1 Samuel 30, the header in the Christian Standard Bible says David defeats the Amalekites. So we read David and his men arrived in Ziklag on the third day. The Amalekites had raided the Negev and attacked and burned Ziklag. They also had kidnapped the women and everyone in it from youngest to oldest. They had killed no one, but had carried them off as they went on their way. When David and his men arrived at the town, they found it burned. Their wives, sons, and daughters had been kidnapped. David and the troops with him wept loudly until they had no strength left to weep. David's two wives, Ahinoam the Jezreelite, and Abigail, the widow of Nabal the Carmelite, had also been kidnapped. David was in an extremely difficult position because the troops talked about stoning him, for they were all very bitter over the loss of their sons and daughters. But David found strength in the Lord his God. David said to the priest Abiathar, the son of Ahimelech, "Bring me the ephod." So Abiathar brought it to him, and David asked the Lord, "Should I pursue these raiders? Will I overtake them?" The Lord replied to him, "Pursue them, for you will certainly overtake them and rescue the people." So David and 600 men with him went. They came to the Wadi Bezor, where some stayed behind. David and 400 of the men continued the pursuit, while 200 stopped because they were too exhausted to cross the Wadi Besor, or Bezor, however we say that. David's men found an Egyptian in the open country and brought him to David. They gave him some bread to eat and water to drink. Then they gave him some pressed figs and 2 clusters of raisins. And after he ate, he revived, for he hadn't eaten food or drunk water for 3 days and 3 nights. Then David said to him, "Who do you belong to? Where are you from?" "I'm an Egyptian, the slave of an Amalekite man," he said. "My master abandoned me when I got sick 3 days ago. We raided the south country of the Cherethites, and the territory of Judah, and the south country of Caleb, and we burned Ziklag." David then asked him, "Will you lead me to these raiders?" He said, "Swear to me by God that you won't kill me or turn me over to my master, and I will lead you to them." So he led him, and there were the Amalekites spread out over the entire area, eating, drinking, and celebrating because of the great amount of plunder they had taken from the land of the Philistines and the land of Judah. David slaughtered them from twilight until the evening of the next day. None of them escaped except 400 young men who got on camels and fled. David recovered everything the Amalekites had taken. He also rescued his 2 wives. Nothing of theirs was missing from the oldest to the youngest, including the sons and daughters, and all the plunder of the Amalekites had taken. David got everything back. He took all the flocks and herds which were driven ahead of the other livestock, and the people shouted, "This is David's plunder." When David came to the 200 men who had been too exhausted to go with him and had been left at the Wadi Besor, they came out to meet him and to meet the troops with him. When David approached the men, he greeted them. But all the corrupt and worthless men among those who had gone with David argued, "Because they didn't go with us, we will not give any of the plunder we recovered to them, except for each man's wife and children. They may take them and go." But David said, "My brothers, you must not do this with what the Lord has given us. He protected us and handed over to us the raiders who came against us. Who can agree to your proposal? The share of the one who goes into battle is to be the same as the share of the one who remains with the supplies. They will share equally." And it has been so from that day forward. David established this policy as a law and an ordinance for Israel, and it still continues today. When David came to Ziklag, he sent some of the plunder to his friends, the elders of Judah, saying, "Here's a gift for you from the plunder of the Lord's enemies. He sent gifts to those in Bethel and Ramoth of the Negev, and in Jatir to those in Aroer, in Sifmoth, and in Eshtemoa to those in Rakal, and the towns of the Jerahmeelites, and in the towns of the Kenites, to those in Hormah, and Borishan, and in Athak, to those in Hebron, and to those in all the places where David and his men had roamed. As 1 Samuel 30. And 1 Samuel 31, I'm not going to read the header. It will be very obvious what the header is. The Philistines fought against Israel, and Israel's men fled from them and were killed on Mount Gilboa. The Philistines pursued Saul and his sons, and killed his sons, Jonathan, Abinadab, and Malchishua. When the battle intensified against Saul, the archers found him and severely wounded him. Then Saul said to his armor-bearer, "Draw your sword and run me through with it, or these uncircumcised men will come and run me through and torture me." But his armor-bearer would not do it because he was terrified. Then Saul took his sword and fell on it. When his armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he also fell on his own sword and died with him. So on that day Saul died, together with his 3 sons, his armor-bearer, and all his men. When the men of Israel on the other side of the valley and on the other side of the Jordan saw that Israel's men had fled, and that Saul and his sons were dead, they abandoned the cities and fled. So the Philistines came and settled in them. The next day, when the Philistines came to strip the slain, they found Saul and his 3 sons dead on Mount Gilboa. They cut off Saul's head, stripped off his armor, and sent messengers throughout the land of the Philistines to spread the good news in the temples of their idols and among the people. And they put his armor in the temple of the Ashtaroths and hung his body on the wall of Beth-shan. When the residents of Jabesh-Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, all their brave men set out and journeyed all night and retrieved the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons from the wall of Beth-shan. When they arrived at Jabesh, they burned the bodies there. Afterward, they took their bones, buried them under the tamaris tree in Jabesh, and fasted 7 days. And thus ends 1 Samuel, and thus is the sad end of King Saul. So 2 chapters, not too bad. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a wonderful weekend as we enter into it. It's Saturday. Like I've said many times before, one of the podcasts I listen to, the guy likes to say, going to church on Sunday is a Saturday decision. I hope you decide to go. And we're part of the body. I need the body, and the body needs me, and you need the body, and the body needs you. So pray that the Lord blesses you. If you don't have a church, you have a hard time finding a church, you can always reach out to me in the comments. I'll be glad to try to help you in the area you're at to whatever extent I can. But anyway, Lord bless you, and hope to see you back here tomorrow.